All right, what is up? Finally live. Took a little minute to get on here, but all right, let's jump right into it and go to the qualifying order. Of course, Busch gets the pole. Ryan Blaney is second. William Byron third. Tyler Reddick fourth. Gregson fifth. Denny Hamlin sixth. Chase Briscoe seventh. Michael McDowell ninth. Michael McDowell eighth. Alex Bowman ninth. AJ Allmendinger 10th. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Chevrolets in the top five. 1, 2, 3, 4 Fords and 2 Toyotas. So that is your top 10. Then you got Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, Joe Logano, Daniel Hemrick, Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs, Carson Hocevar, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, Corey LaJoie, Harrison Burton, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Preece, Chase Elliott, Todd Gilliland, Daniel Suarez, Corey Heim, Christopher Bell, John Hunter Nemechek, Kaz Grala, Justin Haley, and Zane Smith bring up the rear. Of course, Justin Haley, or was it Kaz Grala? Anyway, two of these guys didn't even make a lap. So I think it was Justin Haley and Zane Smith. Had a little bit of trouble in the qualifying session. So let's see here. Let's go to your stats to see who's going to do what. And with the best average finish in the last 3 races, of which he's only raced 2, Alex Bowman has the best average finish here of 3.0 in the 2 races he's run since 2021. Chase Elliott is second at 5.0. Ross Chastain third at 6.7. William Byron 10.0. Christopher Bell 10.3. Martin Truex Jr. 10.7. Denny Hamlin 11.0. Chris Buescher 11.3. Kevin Harvick 11.3. Not in the race, but of note because Josh Berry is in that car. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 12.2, which bumps him up to 9th. And then Cole Custer. Then you got Bubba Wallace, who would be your last of the top 10 with a 13.0. He's tied with Ty Gibbs and Kyle Larson there at 13.0. Sorry, Larson 13.3. So he is tied with Ty Gibbs, though. Ty Gibbs, of course, only 1 race. Let's go to your previous winners in the last 3, and those are going to be Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, and Alex Bowman. Let's hit the top 5s. Top 5s at 2 apiece. It's going to be 4 drivers: Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, William Byron, and Ross Chastain. So 2 top 5s in his 2 starts here. Alex Bowman is starting to skew toward him. Spoiler alert, he's going to be, by my numbers, who I picked to win the race. But let's see who I'm going to pick with my gut to win this race in just a minute. Top 10s are also going to be about the same there. Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, William Byron, and Ross Chastain. Now let's go to laps led because that tells you a lot about who's dominant here. Kyle Larson and William Byron at the top of the board with 282 apiece. With 282 for Larson, 214 for William Byron, 184 for Ross Chastain, 128 for Kyle Busch, 100 for Alex Bowman, who typically just likes to lead the last laps. And you've only got to lead 1 lap, of course, if you watched Ryan Truex in the Xfinity Series race. He led the only 2 laps of that race that mattered. Then you got Martin Truex Jr. at 89 is the closest one that is not with 100 laps led on this list. So let's go to power rankings, how they got him power ranked. And Alex Bowman, by the numbers at driveraverages.com, that's who's going to be your guy as far as they're concerned. Chase Elliott is next. Then you got Ross Chastain and Fast Willie B. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, and Ryan Blaney are going to be the rest of your power ranking guys there from driver averages. Let's see, and here's your betting odds. I'm only going to do the first 10. Let's see, so Larson is at plus 500, Truex is plus 600, also William Byron, 700 for Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin, 850 for Ryan Blaney. And these, of course, have changed since I put up the poll question. Poll question, of course, is these odds of the top 4. Who would you be taking there with the DK odds? Then you got Chase Elliott at 1,200, 1,300 for Chastain, Tyler Reddick, 1,500, and 1,600 for Alex Bowman, who I think is going to be your best bet statistically. But that being said, with 9 wins in his career starting from the pole, 9 wins in his career starting from the pole, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is who I'm going to go with to win this race. That's going to be my pick. But if you go by the numbers, statistically, what I would pick would be Alex Bowman. So let's jump into the chat and see what you all would like to talk about. Jenna Allison on the money right there. Her man got the pole, saying Rowdy got the pole. KFB is going to win today, says Bumblebee. With Truex winning yesterday, it is hard to bet against Martin today. That's a good point, but it's not run on a Monday. Like the last one he ran here and won, I think, was on a Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be interesting. Let's see here. Lost my spot. Let's see. Yesterday was dangerous to play the called by the wrong name drinking game while listening to PRN, says Charlotte Ander. So apparently PRN got the got several names wrong on their deal. Let's see. During the last 35 laps, they called Carson Voppel Travis like 45 times. Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. His dad looked as nervous. Travis looked as nervous as you could possibly be sitting there on the scoring pylon. Voppel says Charlotte. Yeah, I can't spell for anything, but KVAPIL. I think that looks right. That looks right to me. I hope folks realize Carson Hocevar and Carson Voppel are the real deal. We get closer to Carson and Carson show on Sundays. I agree with you. I think as far as guys coming up, I don't think you're going to get too many more talents that are just like, they're just so good. Like Carson Voppel, Carson Hocevar, two of the really good ones coming up. I'd throw Corey Heim into that mix, already in the Cup Series, but I would put Ty Gibbs in that mix as well. A little bit different styles for all of those guys, but some of them are kind of like raw talent. Like I would say Carson Hocevar is a raw talent. Not sure about Carson Voppel other than he just wins a lot, so I don't know how raw of a talent he is or if he's just a hard worker, but I would say Ty Gibbs is just a really hard worker. And always he's a quick learner and a hard worker, which is a good combination. So different ways of going about it. But I think all those guys have a really bright future amongst other guys. But those are just the ones that popped off the top of my head right there. What's up, Roofer? What's up, B? What's up, Barnum? Let's see. Just got up from my night slumber, says Mark Barnum. So what's up, Mark Barnum? Good to have you with us. Glad you're waking up to the Bologna Burger morning show. Just kidding. Let's see. Good afternoon, everyone, says Camaro 50. What's up, Camaro? Another wet day here. At least the Twisters are staying away. Howdy from the Great White North. What's up, Robin Marks? What's up, Canada? I'll take the driver starting on the front row, says Timber Ace. Hey, so there you go. Another vote for Kyle Busch there. Let's see. They didn't have him on the list of favorites this morning when I put this up, but Larson at plus 450 is ahead at 36% right now. Hamlin at 600 is 11%. 21% are taking Byron at 650, and Truex at 700, 32%. So we'll leave that a pretty close poll right now between Larson and Truex. So we'll leave that up and see how it goes as we go on here. Let's see. New winner this week. Yeah, I mean, if Kyle Busch wins, technically that would be a new winner. I agree with you, BB. Busch for the win. Yeah, Kyle Busch, he definitely could get the win for sure, no doubt about it. Like I said, 9 times in his career, and typically whenever he qualifies on the pole, there's a good chance. Not only that, but he won, I think, a micro dirt sprint race this week too. So he likes to group wins together. He won the truck race last weekend, so I feel like he's starting to heat up. So this could be another one of those runs in the middle of the season, kind of like he did at the beginning of the season last year, where he started out on absolute fire. He might be heating up here at the right time. T-Van saying, what's up, BB, and what's up, Sunday Crew? What's up, T-Van? Good to see you on here, as always. Hocevar is the wave of the future, says Roofer. I think you're absolutely right about that. I think he's at Spire right now. I don't know how long he stays at Spire, because I feel like he's just one of those guys. He's sort of like a Tim Richmond. He's got so much raw ability and talent. And when he starts to refine it, he's just going to get better and better. But I feel like if he goes, let's say he goes the Tyler Reddick route, he stays at Spire for a couple of years or whatever, and then he takes an opportunity to go somewhere where he feels like is a better situation. Tyler Reddick felt like 2311 was a better situation for him. So let's just fast forward into the future, and Carson Hocevar is over there at Joe Gibbs Racing or 2311, or he goes to Hendrick or Penske, wherever he might end up. Let's say he ends up with one of those bigger teams. With his personality, along with that talent, he's got personality in front of the microphone, right? So along with that talent and that personality in front of the microphone, you could see, like, if it plays out the right way, he could be one of the biggest names in the sport that we've seen in like a long, long time. So I feel like he's got a lot of upside in just various ways. So yeah, be really cool. And by the way, you can vote for him 5 times a day on the All-Star vote. So if you want to get him into the All-Star race, feel free to go in there and vote 5 times a day, or 4 times for him and 1 time for your favorite driver. Let's see. T-Van saying, what's up to Roofer? BB Morning Show has a certain ring to it, says T-Van. It does have a certain ring to it. I hope they can hire somebody that can run that show. Because I've got to go to work most of those days. Charlotte, I'm going to need some better racecraft and maturity out of Hocevar before I give a poop about his talent. So that's a fair statement. He is a young guy though, so I feel like I would say with him and Ty Gibbs, although Ty Gibbs has been very calm in my opinion, I think he's matured a lot since he got into the Cup Series. I would say both of those guys fairly young, probably both need a little bit of maturity, but when you're young like that, I feel like the maturity is going to sort of come naturally to an extent. So I'm not super worried about that one because I think it will eventually come. Over under on cautions is 7 is my call, says Mark Barnum. Dover. I would go over. I would go over on the cautions on that one. Dover is just a really tricky track. So yeah, I feel like the over is a pretty fair, safe bet there. Woohoo, finally catching you live. Been a long time. What's up, Speedway Anywhere? Good to see you on here again, as always, my friend. Glad you could make this one. Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports versus the field. Who do you got? Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Let's see. Here's the other thing. So you got some of the drivers for both of those teams. They qualified well, right? So you've got. I know Denny Hamlin was up there. William Byron was up there. Okay, so here we go. William Byron for Hendrick, and then you got Denny Hamlin for Joe Gibbs Racing. They both qualified really well. And Alex Bowman also for Hendrick qualified really well. But then you've got some guys that qualified sort of further back. You got Martin Truex Jr. In 15th here. You got Ty Gibbs in 19th. Then you got Kyle Larson in 21st. And oh goodness, where did it get? 29th place for Chase Elliott. Has Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. and Ty Gibbs, have they got their cars set up for like a long run? They didn't worry about qualifying. And do the other guys have their cars trimmed out too much because they were worried about qualifying? Then, of course, you got Christopher Bell, who spun out. So we don't even know what – he was probably trimmed out, I would guess, because of the way he spun out. But are these teams on different strategies? That would be another thing that I'm kind of thinking about as far as Hendrick versus Gibbs at Dover. But if I had to I don't know. I feel like Kyle Larson – I guess I would give the edge to – of those two, I would give the edge to Hendrick just because Alex Bowman's numbers here are so good. And then you've got Jimmy Johnson that's won 11 races at Dover, has led over 3,000 laps. I would give the slight edge in that particular deal to Hendrick. But, of course, like, can you ever really, truly feel good about betting against Joe Gibbs Racing? No, because they are that freaking good. Yeah, that's a good question, but a tough pick for sure. What's up, T-Van? BB making a bold move with the shirt today. This is the Margaritaville 5 shirt. It's so weird because it's backwards here, but it looks forward facing to you guys. The Margaritaville 5 shirt. So yeah, and then we got the we want Eric Jones to feel better. So I've got that Jones Boy t-shirt on, and then I've got the RCR hat. So we're fully rocking all the teams here today. Let's see. The crashes at Dover have always been brutal, says Timber Race. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that at all. That Truck Series Championship race last year was a real crap show, and most of that stemmed from Hocevar's annex. Yeah, and you could tell, like, well, some people, I guess, thought he was acting, but I feel like he was being genuine. You could tell he felt bad for that. And then Corey Heim, like, he lost his mind too, which you can understand in that situation. But, yeah, it all devolved. And that's just something about the Truck Series. Not all of those guys are at maximum maturity level yet. So that's just going to be part of the deal. But I think I think he'll never forget how that played out. And hopefully that won't be the case in the future. He still drives aggressive, don't get me wrong. But he's been fairly clean in the Cup Series from what I've seen. And of the rookies, I think he's leading the points right now. So he has had a decent rookie campaign compared to the other rookies. But, yeah, I do agree with you. There is some maturity that can definitely be gained for sure. But he is also young, so I want to keep that in mind. So I think he'll get there. We'll just have to see because you can't predict the future, no doubt about that. Kaz Gralla had a bad one in practice. Had me worried. Also, get well soon to Eric Jones. Yeah, the Kaz Grala lick was huge. I couldn't remember if that was him or Justin Haley. I just remembered it was a Rick Ware car. But yeah, the Kaz Grala, that was a shot into the wall. Christopher Bell barely tapped the wall, so I think he'll be more than likely he'll be okay. But you never know with the stiffness of this car, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, this new car does concern me. You saw that they're adding the which to me the rumble strip thing or whatever that they're adding to the bus stop or whatever at Watkins Glen. Like, I mean, you can have an opinion on it, but are you going to watch the race anyway? So yeah, I feel like you're going to watch the race anyway. So I didn't make a video about that because I wasn't like, who cares? But I was like, it's not that big a deal. It's just one of those things that sort of trends on Twitter that everybody feels like they have to have an opinion about. But the bigger thing to take away from that is how stiff and rigid these cars are is the reason that they had to add that, because you had the mouthpiece data from Kyle Larson showing you that these cars give so much feedback. And the reason they give so much feedback is because they are just so rigid and stiff. So something needs to be done about that. That being said, these cars are so rigid and stiff. There is one thing built into these cars that I like that you could easily fix that. You can bolt the front and the back on. So you can bolt a less rigid front and back onto this car. And maybe that'll help at some point when they decide to pull their head out of the sand and reconfigure how this car works. Maybe bolt a less stiff front and rear end onto this thing, and let's get on about our business in a more safe manner, because a more rigid car is never safe for the driver. It's safer for the components, and that's what NASCAR sided with for whatever reason. Because they wanted to save money. As you can tell, I'm not happy with that decision, and I don't think the drivers are either. But there's nothing we can do about it, so I can just air the grievance and move on. But yeah, the car is too rigid still to this day. Watch out for those Fords, says Stupid Roofer. Yep, there's several Fords. I think there was three. There's 3 Fords in the top 10 here. Yeah. Ryan Blaney, Noah Gragson, and Chase Briscoe. Yeah, Chase Briscoe. No, where am I at? What? Yeah, Dover. So Kyle Busch. Here we go. Ryan Blaney, Noah Gragson, Chase Briscoe, and Michael McDowell. Yep. And Austin Cindric almost in there at 11th. He's in 11th. So there you go. The Fords do have some speed as always. And, of course, what we want to see with that speed is it maintained throughout the day, and they've been working on that for sure. It's a concrete track, says T-Van. T-Van says Charlotte. Dover pileup will happen today. Is it going to be like Bristol? Tire wear is on my radar. Says, yeah, I do think the tire wear will be a factor, but I don't think it'll be quite as bad as Bristol because they've had a practice and they know how to prepare for this tire. So I'm glad that they will have tire wear, but I'm glad that they also had practice to prepare for it. So I think it's going to be the best of both worlds. I do expect a lot of comers and goers, but typically at Dover, one car figures it out and dominates, but there should be plenty of comers and goers throughout the field. William saying, good afternoon. I absolutely want that shirt that you have on right now. Hey, they got up NASCAR.com. You can go probably HendrickMotorsports.com has them. They got them all day. I just happened upon it randomly, and I was like, man, I've got to have that. So there you go. Jimmy Johnson. If he, I don't know the rest of that, but will Jimmy Johnson have a good race today? That's a good question. Of all the tracks that he's going to do like a start at, I feel like this is his best chance to get like a top 15. So this would be the race that I would look for Jimmy Johnson to get a top 15. The rest of them, like Kevin Harvick says, it's just what he's doing is just so hard today in this day and time with this car. Roofer, you drive a Chevy truck, don't you? Says T-Van. LOL says Roofer. Which Ford would you pick to most likely win today? Let's go back over here to the numbers. Ryan Blaney's looking like he's got the best numbers, but Chris Buescher is right behind him. Neither one of them have a ton of laps led, but you can't sleep on that 4 car or just anybody over there at Stewart-Haas, because Kevin Harvick had really good numbers here as well. So I would probably say either Ryan Blaney or Chris Buescher, just from what I'm looking at in front of me here. Let me make sure I didn't skip a Ford driver going up through these. Yeah, those look like the 2 best by the numbers. So those would be my two picks right there. Let's see. Jimmy Johnson racing today in the 84. Boyer said Dover is Johnson's playground, referencing his 11 wins and 3,000 laps led. So yeah, Jimmy Johnson knows how to get the job done here. I think he was really conservative in qualifying, but if you look at his practice speeds, Jimmy Johnson was really fast in practice. So like I said, this would be my opportunity if you're a Jimmy Johnson fan to get loud for JJ one more time at least, because I do feel like he's got a good chance of getting the top 15 here, so long as he stays out of harm's way. Hey, BB, good to catch your chat. It's been a minute since I've been able to catch it, says Joshua Jenkins. Glad to have you on here, Joshua. Glad you could catch it today. Riffer saying get Matt in the 84 car. Hamlin has this one. Makes up for Dega, says one. Yeah, I mean, this could be a Hamlin race for sure. No doubt about it. Joe Gibbs Racing always solid here for sure. Harvick stated, and if you go back to the tire thing, like nobody saves tires quite as good as the veterans. Denny Hamlin definitely a veteran, so that should play into his hands as well. Harvick stated it was strange seeing Jimmy Johnson in a Toyota. I agree, even though Jimmy Johnson was in a Honda for 2 years in IndyCar. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't. It was weird last year. This year, it hasn't really affected me this year. But last year, that first race, it was kind of bizarre. Not only seeing him in a Toyota, but seeing him in something other than a Lowe's stock car, that was kind of weird. But after that, it kind of became normal. I just kind of got used to the like the navy blue and the goldish yellow numbers. Even though I think he's driving a different scheme today. I think he's got the orange. It's sort of like a DraftKings colors, but it's not DraftKings on the hood. I couldn't find the paint scheme preview, so I couldn't do that. But yeah, he's driving an orange and green car with a base layer of black. Let's see. I've heard drivers talk about raising the ride height. Where do you think? I think they just need to figure out the underbody. Like they need a different underbody. The underbody is another issue as well. So before they start playing with the ride heights, I think the underbody, they need to take a look at that. I'd love to see that. Roofer, says Steve Ann. Elite, what's up, my man? Looking forward to Dover today. Me too. I think it's going to be probably a decent race. I think there's going to be a lot of comers and goers. Typically, though, at Dover, somebody does figure it out, but there is also the opportunity at Dover for a guy to figure out the short run and the long run. So you can have that opportunity, sort of like Atlanta and Darlington, where the guy that was leading for the longest time gets chased down. That's what I'm hoping for in this particular race. There's Elite Precision's channel dropped to us by a Roofer. So if you want to check out Elite's channel, he's got a great channel. You definitely should check it out. BB, are you going to the 600? I don't know just yet. I don't know. It's gonna depend on how everything sort of plays out. Probably just jinxed him, says T-Van. I might have. If I did jinx him, that's part of it. Does Austin Dillon still race? Says Thomas Haywood. He does still race. He was running pretty good before he got caught up in the outside line over there at Talladega. But I feel like before that race, I think he finished 8th previously. In the last 2 races, he has had one top 10. Camaro 50, Jimmy Johnson might do well in a Toyota, gets around the bad juju, says Juan Camillo. Yeah, he's had some bad luck in that Toyota. And what he's doing is, like Kevin Harvick said, it's just really difficult with this particular car to just come in here and run a few races. Any clear choice for last finish today, BB? I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I'm going to pick C-Bell today. Christopher Bell, ever since – I don't know if Kyle Busch cursed him, but ever since Kyle Busch put the curse on him when he was talking to him after the race at COTA, I feel like C-Bell has had a lot of spinouts since then. So I don't know if he's pressing too hard in the car. I'm just joking about the curse or whatever, but I don't know if he's pressing right now too hard in the car, trying to get more speed out of it than it actually has, or what's going on. But it's been very unlike Christopher Bell with some of the just spinning by himself wrecks that we've seen here. So I don't know what's going on, other than he seems to be wrecking himself a lot, which makes me wonder if he's pushing too hard right now. Jimmy going to Indy cars was Jordan playing baseball, says Tim Brace. Hey, that's a fair point. That's a good analogy. I never thought about it that way. That is a good point, Tim Brace. Boyer is just a menace. I can't stand that guy. Harvick has had it with him, says Roofer. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that dynamic works out. I'm pretty sure they get along. In real life, I think they like to talk junk to each other in the booth. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out throughout their tenure together. I'd like to see Jimmy Johnson have a good run just because he has sucked for years, but Junior was the same way, says T-Van. Yeah. So drivers go through slumps, and this is and look, he had a good run, man. He had the greatest run probably of anybody ever. So the law of averages, right? And some of those wins were, just really good fortune. So if you have good fortune for that extended period of time, law of averages, you're going to have bad fortune for probably an equal extended amount of time. This just might be the law of averages catching up to him. He seems a lot of times he seems to be caught up in somebody else's stuff here recently. And part of that is where he qualifies and things like that. You can't deny that in any way, shape, or form. But as good as his fortune was, the Kevin Harvick Golden Horseshoe thing, right? As good as his fortune was in the mid 2000s, it has not been as good since 2016 as well. Let's see. Bumblebee saying, "What's up to Elite?" Xfinity race was awesome. Why can't we have that car in Cup? I don't know. I don't know why NASCAR doesn't want that type of race car anymore. But it does seem like a more just a more figured out. It puts on more exciting races. So I don't know. You'd have to ask NASCAR about that one. They have if I had to guess, like if I really had to guess why we went to this car, I think NASCAR has this vision of more or less having a car that can go across multiple different sports. Like you could race this car in NASCAR, you could race it in IMSA, you can put any engine you want inside of it. So eventually you're going to have this platform and chassis racing in IMSA, you're going to have this platform racing in NASCAR, and you might have, they might strike a deal with supercars, and this is the chassis that they use in supercars or something like that. To me, if I'm guessing, and this is just me speculating, this is NASCAR's grand vision, and that's why they won't come off of this car and some of the stuff on it. And that's just me guessing. That's the only thing in my mind that makes any type of sense, and that grows the NASCAR brand across, multiple series and divisions and things like that. But to me, that's the only thing that makes sense, because if you look at the Garage 56, it makes sense there. The fact that they basically copied the Australian V8 supercar, that's what the Cup car is now. To me, that's the only thing that makes any logical sense. But to be fair, I do give NASCAR too much credit sometimes. Am I giving them too much credit there for even thinking about it at all? So that is a fair counterpoint. So, yeah, what was I even talking about? T-Van saying, "What's up to Bumblebee?" Elite saying, "What's up to B?" Good afternoon, Elite. I always enjoy your videos, says Camaro 50, and I'll second that. I always enjoy your videos as well, my man. Rowdy got in Bell's head, says Roofer. It could be. It's like last year when Rick Hendrick sort of got in Ross Chastain's head, and Ross Chastain was driving way too clean. Like aggressively way too clean, or way not aggressive, however you want to, aggressively not aggressive. We'll put it that way. Harvick as a commentator explains too much, though, says Juan. Yeah, I think he'll figure out how to dial that back a little bit. I like Boyer in the Xfinity Series and liked him in the Jack Daniels car. I'm not the biggest fan of Boyer in the booth. He's got a good personality. I think some people would like to see Clint Boyer in a role kind of like how they used Rutledge Wood. Just add color to the scenery and to the camping experience and stuff like that. And I see that as a role that he would be well suited for. But I also have seen him, and a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I have seen him get better as a broadcaster. He doesn't talk over top of people nearly as much as he used to. So you can actually see him progressing and getting better and better at the craft. So it'll be interesting to see which way it goes going forward. But certainly he is the most polarizing. He's kind of like Dick Vitale. Like in basketball back in the day, people either loved Dick Vitale or they hated him. And that's kind of where I feel like people are with Clint Boyer. You either like him or you don't. He doesn't bother. Like I don't know. I've never really gotten up in arms about a broadcast, except when Fox a couple weeks Talladega, Fox at Talladega. That was beyond bad. But unless it's like that bad, I typically don't get caught up in it. But I do feel like the one strong suit that Fox has had throughout all this, I do like Fox's booth. I think they've actually done a good job with the booth. And Caitlin Vincey in the studio, and Shannon Spake in the studio. I think those group, Jamie McMurray. I think the studio stuff and the booth has actually been good. To me, it's just the camera work and the extra corny stuff that they do, like the really corny promos and stuff like that they do. I feel like that is kind of what like the Okie just it's Sunday. I don't want to say that. Just the dumb stuff that they do. When they could, like, instead of doing just some Okie, I don't know, like corny, just doing some corny promo, they could actually do a deep dive, or do a 5 or 6 minute dive into something else, where they actually just do some journalistic reporting or something like that. instead of just always, it's always goofy. I don't mind goofy, but it's always goofy, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be goofy. You can get into some real stuff too, like how do aerodynamics work? Like, I remember back in the day, Ned Jarrett had this cool thing on how aerodynamics worked, and then he had the cool thing to show the closing distance between your modern day street car. Like, he took a Cavalier or something on a racetrack, and then he had Terry Labonte or Daryl Waltrip or somebody drive by him at full speed at Talladega or wherever they were at, and it showed the closing rate and how much faster the car was in real life, and how you can't tell that because the camera is moving with the car, so it doesn't look as fast on your TV. Like, they could jump in there and do some real stuff like that. It does, and then you could do a goofy skit as well. Like, you got to mix it up, but I feel like all their stuff is goofy, and they got to get off the goofy, and they really got to get rid of the superhero comic things. Like, they had a picture of William Byron yesterday during qualifying, and he looked straight up like Eminem. So they can't even get you're doing the comic book graphics, and you can't even get the faces right. So if you're going to do the comic book graphics, at least get their faces right. Whoever drew that, I apologize. You're a better artist than me. I'm just saying you whiff with that one. I whiff with videos sometimes. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying we're tired of the cartoon character stuff, and yeah, I've cried about this long enough. Let's move on. Let's see. Jimmy's in the Dollar Tree colors. So Dollar Tree, that's what it was, and I think the little bit of orange in there is from Family Dollar. Maybe showroom purchase, says Michael Fleming. Boyer just tries too hard to be the goofball. He's just fake. Yeah, I do feel like he's pressing the issue a little bit. He's trying to be something you think he is instead of just being himself. I wish he would just be himself, because I feel like he's generally, just when he's being himself, a way funnier dude. And just I think a lot of people like being around him. He is trying to replace Waltrip, says T-Van. Yeah, he's probably trying to skew a little bit toward Waltrip, where he should just be himself, because that's what Darrell Waltrip was good at. Darrell Waltrip was just being himself. When he goes to Cup with Austin Hill, when he goes to Cup, will Austin Hill be the next villain? For sure. For sure. He's rubbed enough people the wrong way. What a finish to that Xfinity Series race. Him and Sheldon Creed just going at it. We thought that was going to be the finish we wanted. Then Voppel goes in there and sneaks by him. And then at the very end, the same thing is basically done to Carson. He got snuck by Truex. So that was it was a good finish, a crazy finish to a Dover race that a lot of people were complaining about before that finish. I love Rutledge, says T-Van. I like Rutledge Wood too. I think I thought he added a lot, but a lot of people didn't like him either. You can't replace DW, says Bumblebee. That's a fact. There's no doubt about that. With Kroger supposedly leaving JTG Doherty Racing, what do you think happens with that team next year? Your guess is as good as mine, Joshua Jenkins. I would guess that somebody either buys in, and if they can't find somebody to buy in and replace that sponsorship, so two things would have to happen there, or they can sell the charter. So I don't know. I have no idea. It could go literally either way. I'd like to see McMurray in the booth, says Steve Van. I think a lot of people would like to see Jamie McMurray in the booth for sure. I mean, the real question is, who has the better hair? Is it Jamie McMurray or is it Ryan Truex? Ryan Truex with a nice mane of hair. I mean, he took the helmet off and he still looked like he was a Hollywood movie star. And then you got Jamie McMurray also with a nice mane of hair. So I would say those two guys. Who's got the best hair in NASCAR? It's got to be one of those two, right? Who am I forgetting? Sterling Marlin, all-timer though. Sterling Marlin had a good head of hair. And the guy that used to do the hat dance that switched all the hats, I feel like he had a solid head of hair too. Where did that come from? Keep Rutledge with 00 off the air is horrible, says William Wagaman. So not a fan of Rutledge. Fox forcing Boyer to be goofy. He did the same with DW. Yes, these guys have goofy personalities, but Fox tells them to take it to the extreme when it comes to the product, and it's irritating. And it comes off as irritating, says Elite. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I feel like Fox wants them to sort of be like WWE characters, where a WWE character takes his personality and amps it up to whatever, or they take their character's personality and amp it up to whatever. I feel like Fox is telling them to do that with their personalities, and it just doesn't come across as genuine. We're in an age now where people are tired of the amped up personalities. Like, everybody on YouTube tried to copy Mr. Beast and the amped up personality for a long time. And now people are sort of skewing back, in my opinion, just watching YouTube and being a YouTube nerd. I feel like YouTube is responsible for this. TikTok and, whatever as well, because it's amped up personality. I feel like people are gravitating more toward like real, just like honest stuff right now, because they've had enough of the, hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. Blah, 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 blah. Like they've had enough of that. They just want something that they feel like is genuine. and the times we're in probably plays into that too. Like you don't want to be fed a lot of BS when there's a lot of real stuff going on, which I'm not going to get into, but it is of mentioning. So I do feel like that is part of the pushback that the Fox booth is getting. They don't want these fake personas. They want more real, genuine stuff when it comes to sports and motorsports and stuff like that. So I feel like that is part of the thing they're pushing back against too. I miss when they used to profile a driver or a manufacturer. I used to love ESPN and the Buffet Denny, the hat of the week too. Says B. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Good. I'm glad you brought all that stuff up because I couldn't think of it off the top of my head. I wasn't expecting to answer like that question, but it's a great question, and I'm glad I did get to answer it. I just hadn't thought about it. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up all that stuff. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So like the one good thing I will say about Fox, the one thing they do that's not goofy, they actually introduce you to the pit crew now. The team at the racetrack. And I think that is awesome. That is an awesome addition. And that's something that universally, even though people don't like the way Fox has covered it this year, that's one thing universally I feel like people have looked at and said, you know what, that is a good thing. And I feel like because of that, if they looked at their success there and added more stuff like that to go, you can still have the campy, goofy stuff, but offset it, do one campy, goofy, do one like, hey, meet the team. Do one campy goofy skit, do one, hey, this is an interesting topic going on wherever. So I think it's a good balance. And back in the day, there was a good balance to that because you had the Benny Buffet, which could get a little bit goofy, but then you also had the manufacturer car focus as well. So it was a good balance back in the day. ESPN, when they had the sport, did a great job. Much different ESPN now that just they'll grab a topic and just beat it to death. Can we get one more story about LeBron James, please? Oh, dear God. I mean, like they take one topic and beat it to death. And this started with like Jeremy Lin, Linsanity. And really it started with the baseball PED stuff. So the baseball PED stuff, then they had Linsanity, then it became unwatchable to me, which was sad because good. It used to be like real sports journalism and stuff, and you could get like actual interviews and stuff, but they went a different route. So whatever. Hope it works out for him. Will Larson missed the All-Star race, and not just ESPN, but that's the one that made me the saddest because like I used to just put my TV on ESPN and leave it there. Will Larson missed the All-Star race for the Indy 500 qualifying or just the All-Star qualifying and heats? That's a good question. I don't know how that's going to play out. Hopefully he can make the All-Star race though. Like I just don't know how that whole deal is going to play out. I know they probably won't hold it up for him. I don't know. It's a bad situation to be in, but it's cool, and I'm glad he's racing. I'm glad he's racing the Indy 500. So if he has to miss one All-Star race, or one more All-Star race, technically, I'm okay with it because he is racing in the Indy 500, and he's going to do the double that weekend as long as there's no weather in the area. So still, I don't know. I'm glad he's doing the Indy 500. I guess is the point of that. But I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out. I miss Dave Despain. Dave Despain was another one, dude. Speed TV. Man, I miss Speed TV. I can't believe it went away. I can't believe Fox bought it out and then didn't do anything really with it. Just made it FS1. They have Michael Waltrip to add Goofy. So there you go. They've got Michael Waltrip to add Goofy for sure. Larson said he's likely going to miss the heats and qualifying at Wilkesboro. So as long as he makes the race, they should be all good. Indy 500 should be top priority, obviously, but Larson still runs All-Star race. Dale Jr. isn't replacing him. Yeah, so that's pretty funny. Like who would replace Larson? I don't think it matters. Whoever they could get in there. I feel like the best, like if you're really gonna like if they had to replace him for the All-Star race, I feel he would be kind of in the booth though. But I feel like replacing him with Kevin Harvick would be the best bet because Kevin Harvick's the most recent guy to be in these cars, and he's probably the most recent guy to be in these cars that is retired. So I feel like Kevin Harvick would be the pick there. Maybe Ryan Newman if Harvick can't do it. Don't dislike McMurray or something for going straight to a studio versus the booth. Don't they dislike McMurray or something for going straight to the studio versus the booth? Says Juan. I have no idea. I don't know how any of the politics of that stuff works. I don't know. Michael Waltrip should reunite Junior for the CW booth. Oh, that would be pretty cool. It is going to be interesting to see what they do for the CW booth. Napa fan, he is only going to be available for the race. Only said this yesterday in an interview. So he said it yesterday and I missed it. With Junior, not with Drew. Says Jamie Swartz. Yeah, I got what you meant. Joey Logano has the best hair. So Roofer going with Joey Logano for the best hair there. He has the problem and took care of it. he's not the only driver. Like there's one driver that flies under the radar that has possibly a hater system going on that not a lot of people know about. But you know what? I'm not going to out him because we're not that type of show. I saw Miss Teets and qualify quote, not the rest of it. Says Napa Race fan. Dover is blah. Race till the last 20 laps. Typical NASCAR this year is becoming hard to watch. Dover is underrated. Pocono is overrated. So there you go. The dichotomy of the NASCAR fan. One person looking forward to it, one person not looking forward to it. And that's the great thing about NASCAR. You have the tracks you like, and nobody really agrees 100% on all the tracks they like. So some people like some tracks, some people like other tracks. NAPCAR equals Dover guaranteed, says William Wagaman. What's up, Dawson? Good to see you on here, my friend. Like to see Jimmy have a good run today. If he can't run well at historically his best track, then forget it, says Napa Race fan. Yeah, that's probably a fair statement. Stop Roofer. Joey does have the best hair. Hair Club helped him with that, says Jamie Schweitzer. So there you go. BB, this is why I listen to you. I'm sick of shouting ahead, says Bruce Garvey. Yeah, it was cool when it was like just Mr. Beast's thing or whoever they modeled it after. But you know, the type of YouTuber like that. But then after that, it got boring. And the same thing with ESPN. They kept saying the same stuff over and over again. I'm like, how many times can we talk about Tim Tebow playing bad for 3 quarters and then winning in the 4th quarter because his defense is amazing? How many times can we go over that? You know, so like it gets old. It gets old really quick, depending on which talking head you were talking about right there. I like real. That's why I like Kyle here. Less is more most times. Too much energy sounds phony. Yeah, like if you get this, that's probably my thing with those the screaming match shows like the Stephen A. Smith versus Skip Bayless. I know they're not together anymore, but whatever iterations of that exists nowadays, there's no way they care about those topics. Not every single one of them. There's no way they're that passionate about every single one of those topics. And you can tell after a while, like it was interesting at first, but then one day you're watching it and you realize like neither one of these guys give a crap about what they're talking about. And it comes off as fake. And once you get that taste in your mouth, you're like, how much of this show is real and how much of this show is fake? Like it gets, to me, I feel like that's what they're combating now. Those type of shows had a good run, but I think those type of shows are over. And I think you see the shows that are replacing them now are guys like Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is high energy, but you can tell he's naturally high energy. That's just probably how that dude is all the time. You know what I mean? So somebody trying to copy Pat McAfee might try to emulate that high energy, but it wouldn't come off as authentic. And so the types of shows that are replacing the screaming at each other over a topic shows are going to be shows like Pat McAfee, where they actually get into topics that they care about. And they'll gloss, like they'll go over the stuff that they have to go over, but they won't act like they won't spend too much time on it if they don't really care about it. So I am interested to see how it goes in the future. Pat McAfee is just the first one that popped in my head. I've stopped watching mainstream stuff, so I couldn't really name you another one. I've sort of skewed more toward YouTube for most of my entertainment. As long as they are full throttle and racing instead of half throttle and saving fuel, says Joshua Jenkins. I think they'll be saving tire, but it won't be anything like saving fuel. It's a different skill set. MLS, UFL are on Fox today instead of Dover. UFL doubleheader next week instead of Kansas on Fox. I mean, they're letting you know where they prioritize the sport. Joey has to get it mowed. Says Moward. Says William Wagman. Wakey, it's eggs and bologna, says Glock. What's up, Glock? Good to have you on here. What's up? Good morning, West Coast. I should say. That's what makes this channel and Elite's great. It's real talk, says Roofer. Yeah, I agree. That's one of my favorite things about Elite's channel for sure. Like he comes in and he talks about stuff that sometimes you might not even be thinking about, and he's got a real honest opinion about it, and you either agree with it or you don't. But it's always presented in such a good way because he's like, hey, this is just honestly how I feel about it. There's no BS, and like I feel like that's the best part of his channel. And there's a lot of other YouTube. I'm not going to name every YouTube channel. I'm just using that one as an example because it was in that there. But for sure. That's why I feel like most YouTubers, I can't think of really a fake YouTuber, to be honest, as far as the NASCAR community goes. The NASCAR YouTube community, they give you their honest opinion, whether you agree with it or not. So I do give kudos there. Barber and Dover on the same time, even with IndyCar on NBC and NASCAR on FS1, doesn't help IndyCar. I'll watch both at the same time, but not everyone can, says Napa Race fan. Yeah, NASCAR and IndyCar have really got to work something out with the start times. They have got to work something out with the start times. Thoughts on the Terry Labonte throwback? I think it's one of the best throwbacks that's ever been done. And I think a lot of people agree with that. My only question about the Terry Labonte throwback: will Kyle Larson go full Kyle Petty? When he did the Kyle Petty throwback, he put on the big wig and he grew out his mustache. Is he going to grow out his mustache for Terry Labonte? We need to see Kyle Larson fully commit and grow the mustache to drive the Kellogg's throwback car. So, or the Hendrick Motorsport Kellogg's throwback car, however you want to call it. So we need to see Larson mustache full on. We need to see full on Larson mustache in the yellow number 5 for Darlington. Let's see. Aloha, Big Wheel. Aloha to you. What's up, Hawaii as well? Hawaii is in the house. Everybody's saying what's up to Big Wheel. I love that Texas Terry throwback scheme. Yeah, I feel like it's one of the best. I like his. I like Austin Dillon's throwback, and it's not really a throwback at Darlington, but the STP car that the 43 car they're running. I looked at all 3 of those and I was like, dadgummit. Now you've put me at a decision. Which one will I purchase? So it's going to be a decision. Obviously, you see the Terry Labonte right there already. So I'm at a decision, man. Do I buy the Gold 3? Do I buy the Terry Labonte throwback? Or do I buy another STP throwback, of which I've got probably 4 million? Or do I just not buy anything at all? Maybe that's the move. I feel like that's probably the move. But I feel like all those, man, like all those are great throwback diecast. Kyle Larson is an all-star base because of being a past champion. He'll have to start in the back because you will be at Indy qualifying. And he said yesterday in a press conference, says William Wagaman, so he'll be there for the race, but he won't be there for qualifying. So they won't really have to replace him. Roofer saying, what's up to Glock? Aloha, Hawaii is my former home base. Hashtag Puna, says Jamie Schweitzer. What's up, Roofer, says Glock. That throwback is awesome. Bumblebee, says Steve Van. Yeah, I think the Larson throwback is one of the best that they've had in a while. Like I said, got to grow out the mustache, though. Got to grow out the mustache for Darlington. Elite's great channel, by the way, says Jamie Schweitzer. For sure, Elite's got one of the best channels on here, and I'm glad to see him growing all the time. BB, do you think the alternate tires at the All-Star race are the future of short track racing? I do. I'm excited about the concept. I hope they pull it off, and if it doesn't go well, I hope they don't give up on it. I hope they continue to fiddle with it, because I do feel like if you give, let's say teams get 8 sets of tires at a normal race, well, you still get 8 sets of tires, but 4 are going to be this way and 4 of them are going to be that way, and now you're at a decision, because you're going to have to run at least 2 of those tires in the course of a normal race. You're going to have to run at least 2 of those tires that maybe not be optimal for your setup at that race. It adds a layer of strategy. It gives us tire fall off, and I love everything about it. I think it's a really good thing. So hopefully it works out, and if it doesn't work out, I hope they don't give up on it. I hope they continue to continue to work on it. I'm very excited for Larson's Hendrick 1100. I just got the 164 set yesterday, says Napa Race Fan. Good. Hopefully my 164th set ships out pretty soon, because that's the next one I should be receiving. I want to see how Heim does today. Sucks that Jones won't be in it. Yeah, I think we're all pulling for Corey Heim, but I think we're all definitely pulling even more for that Jones boy to heal up as soon as he can heal up and hopefully come back better and stronger than ever. And when he gets to Darlington, wins that race, like I'm going to predict whenever that happens. Should just be soft tires at the All-Star race, but strategy could be interesting, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah. I don't know if the All-Star race is gonna be the best litmus test for it, because you've got so many breaks in that one that I think everybody's going to be on the same tire at the end. But for a longer race, I think it'll give you a sneak peek at what a longer race could look like. Yawn, good morning, everyone. Happy race day. What's up, say Kyle? Good to have you on here. The Magic have evened up the series, my friend. Like I told you, we are going to beat Cleveland. Let's see. Good morning, everybody, says Wise Guy. What's up, Wise Guy? What's up, West Coast? Good morning to y'all. The West Coast of Florida, for say Kyle. Kellogg's Kyle Larson looks good at Texas Terry Labonte scheme. Says Ken. Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of the better throwbacks in a long time. I'm not going to say it's the best, because I feel like there's been a lot of really good ones. But yeah, it's definitely one of the best. Best YouTube channel for me. It's the Baloney Man. He's got the voice, the timing, the knowledge. I appreciate you, Big Wheel. I do my best. That's all I can say about that. I'm humble. I'm always humbled by comments like that, man. I never know what to say other than I do my best. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds corny to me, but I don't know what to say. But I do appreciate everybody's kind words when they say stuff like that. Jamie Schweitzer, should the All-Star be tried on a road course track? All people would throw a fit. Like there's a certain section of NASCAR that just hates a road course. So that would, man, people would be. You remember when they had the Daytona, the Clash, when that was a road course? Like, man, people were up in arms about that. And then the race wasn't as good as they wanted it to be. So they really had something to complain about there. What did I miss? Says one wise guy. Nothing major. Just ran over the odds and stuff like that. Who's got the best average? We're going with Alex Bowman and Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is as the gut pick. Alex Bowman by the numbers. So roundabout, that's the cliff notes of the first part of the show you missed. Then I griped about Fox's coverage for a little while, and then I talked about how people are skewing more toward some of the reason Fox's coverage gets blowback is because it feels not genuine, and there's a pushback on that because people have been watching YouTube and TikTok so long. They're tired of non-genuine people. And that's pretty much, I feel like that's the cliff notes. Did I miss anything, guys? Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything, recapping it for Wise Guy there. I feel like Legacy is performing about the same. Jimmy Schweitzer saying, what's up to say Kyle? And Escobar saying, what's up to BB? What's up, Escobar? I feel like Legacy is performing about the same last year. I think they need to do an internal change. I feel like they're a little bit better. And here's the difference. They're trying to do stuff without Joe Gibbs' involvement. They're trying to be their own Toyota team. So I think they're going to be hit or miss this year. But I do think speed-wise, they're getting the same type of finishes. But I do feel like speed-wise, they're better. So I'm not. I think they're actually doing a little bit better, even though the results might not show it. And you also have a teammate that's wrecking a teammate. So it is what it is. I've seen articles saying Rajah Caruth or Justin Allgaier might drive the 5 car if Larson misses the All-Star. I don't think they should be able to do that as they never met the qualifiers. I mean, they're not going to drive the car though. It's going to be for the race. For the race, it's going to be Kyle Larson. So it is what it is. But they're NASCAR licensed. They both got the NASCAR license for short tracks, so they should be able to get in there and drive from that perspective. So, but yeah, you can. I guess the ethics of it could be up for debate. But I'm not going to debate it because Kyle Larson, he's going to drive the car for the actual race. Stage cautions will mess the tire compound strategy up. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. The tire compound deal is just going to be something that would be the last stage of the race for sure. And that's, once again, stage cautions to me are just not the way to go in the sport. And I'm going to make a video about that this week. I meant to make it last week, but I just ran out of time. I really hope within 3 to 5 years, we're having a prime option tire at every race. One good thing F1 does, in my opinion, oh yeah, go Magic. I like the idea of having multiple tires to pick from, and I think if you get rid of the stages, I think that's even better. Love Larson's Labonte throwback. Wish they got the Kellogg sponsor for a one-off though. Wanted a cornflake scheme for a long time. It would have been cool if they could have got cornflakes on board for that, but for whatever reason, cornflakes didn't want to jump on. T-Van saying, BB, you need to bring back the Mohawk. So yeah, if you join the Discord server, you can see what I used to look like when I had my Mohawk back in the day. They should bring the cornflakes throwback to the Iowa Corn 350, says Napa. That would be the move for sure. Bumblebee saying, what's up to say, Kyle? I can't stomach road courses, says Rufus. There you go. There's a certain section of NASCAR that just doesn't want to see a road course. They thought 2 was too many back in the day, and now we've got even more. You're ruining their NASCAR racing because some people just don't like road course races. I like road course races. I'm one of those weirdos, so I'm on the opposite end of that. But I definitely hear the feedback from the other side for sure. I can't wait for NASCAR's next comedy show on Fox at 1. I'd love to hear Mike Joy chewing again. Says Midwest Train Chasers. That's that was a low lights in a series of low lights at Talladega. Truex is my pick, and Mike Joy is one of the best. But he definitely got caught forgetting to turn his mic off. It happens. Truex is my pick. Low hanging fruit, I know. Truex is pretty good here, pretty good. The race is not on a Monday though, so or at least not yet. Any fist fights today, BB? No fist fights today. I don't think we're going to see one, but you never know. Our buddy Chrome Diesel is at the track. Chrome is at the track, so that's awesome. I hope he has a good time. Hopefully he gives us some good feedback on the Discord. I appreciate you, BB says one wise guy. Appreciate you as well, wise guy. You mean Rick Allen sounding like an out-of-tune trombone isn't genuine? Yeah, when he just starts screaming at the end of everything, like the end of the race, like you could literally sleep through a NBC broadcast and you'll know when the end of the race is coming because then and as they come to the checker flag, like, and Rick, look, he's got one of the best voices of all time, but it's forced. It's forced sometimes. He's not always that excited. It is what it is. Roofer, have you ever been to Indy? I have been to Indy. They've got the what's that? Yeah, I've been to the racetrack. My first race was there, and we stayed at the Ramada Inn, which is right across from the basketball. Like literally, you could see the is it Cole Fieldhouse now? Whatever the basketball stadium's. It used to be Market Square. I want to say it's Cole Fieldhouse now, but it's right across from the basketball center. But there's this limousine in Indy that I've always wanted to talk about. It's got a big rooster on it. It's the big rooster limousine. That thing is interesting, but I want to ride in it one time. Like that's when I go back to Indy. That's the only way. I'm not taking a cab. I'm getting in the massive rooster. The massive rooster limousine. You guys know what I want to say. Mind my manners. Hey Jamie. Hey EB. Say Kyle. I'm sure the Fox broadcast will be a hullabaloo today. Harvick's word last week was hullabaloo. Yeah, and he said it wrong. He said hullabaloo. So they roasted him pretty good for that. What did you think of yesterday's finish and Ryan's win? It was a really good finish. I think a lot of people were not happy with the race as it went, but then I saw a lot of people that were happy. So I would say it was probably 50-50 till the finish. And I feel like the finish took it over 50-50 for a lot of people. I thought the whole race was good, but I didn't see the whole race. I only saw like the last half of it. The last half of the race was really good. Fox, I was flipping between the NFL draft and that. Fox will definitely miss a lot of action today, and we will also have to try not to laugh challenge between the booth for 4 hours. I hate stage cautions, says Steve Van. Yeah, you can keep the stages. Let's just get rid of the cautions. Like it takes all the strategy out. Let's see. Thoughts on Newgarden's DQ from St. Pete 45 days later after he won. Says Napa. They did the right thing. I'm glad they did it, but it was definitely bizarre. I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did the right thing, though. Have the 48 and 24 throwbacks been shown yet? Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. I haven't seen them. If they have been shown, they came out yesterday. I wasn't doing a lot of news sleuthing yesterday. The Mohawk was too sweet. Says one wise guy. I'm sorry I'm late, says Jackson Robinson. That's okay. We won't fine you this time, but next time, Jackson, it's gonna be a $10 fine. I'm just joking. Bumblebee, glad to have you on here as always, Jackson. Number 24 or number 4. I just read that one. Punk Rock Ramones says Robin Marks. The Ramones were one of the best ever. There's the Discord link right there. Glock dropped it. If you want to see the Mohawk, some fans hate and cry and piss about everything. Says Bumblebee, welcome to NASCAR. I like road course racing without stage cautions. Says T-Van. Yeah, the stage cautions, they just ruin it for me. Stage racing is fine. Stage cautions are infuriating, says Roofer. I'm with you on that. The stage points, they can keep them. Like it makes for an interesting layer of strategy. But then the caution ruins any of that strategy. Ryan Truex back-to-back wins at Dover. That's impressive for a part-time driver. I agree. Everyone hit the like button and have a great race. See you later, says William Wagmans. Yeah, the race is starting at 2 o'clock. So about an hour away. So if you want to see regular Fox, they're on right now. And I'm going to get through the rest of these, and then we're going to jump off here. Thanks, Napa 927, says Hey Kyle. I think Ford breaks into the win column today with Logano. There's a good chance. I would say probably Buescher or by the numbers at least. Joey Logano is never a bad pick, but by the numbers, I would say probably Blaney and Buescher. My dad, as far as the Ford camp goes, my dad always calls it the Ramada Inn. I don't know, but it's always cracked me up. Ramada Inn, Ramada Inn. I don't know. Let's see. There's the merch link right there. I hated road courses for years. Now, after being forced, says Big Wheel. Caitlin Clark putting Indy on the map. Indy B-Ball Arena is Gamebridge. Now, Gamebridge is the name of it. So there you go. I would love to see different types of ovals added, not just a half mile, 3/4 mile, 1 mile, 1.5 mile D-shaped ovals, 2 mile ovals, 2.5. How about 1 and a 3/4 track? So yeah, I think a good mix of tracks for sure is what makes the NASCAR schedule special, and that's what it was special back in the day when there were fewer tracks. It was more special because all the tracks were different. Way back in the day, like way back in the day, 70s and 80s, each track was different. Then we got to the cookie quote unquote cookie cutter era, and that kind of ruined it. Now you don't want too much of any one type of track, and the originality of tracks just aren't there anymore until you get to short tracks. Earth 2 JJ races the pink Dale Earnhardt throwback race car. That would be pretty dope. Escobar, but bigger. Talking about the Atlanta, but bigger. To watch, love them, says Big Wheel. I appreciate you, my man. A giant cockerel. Says Robin Marks. That is pretty close. That is pretty close to what I have in my mind every time I see that limousine. I hear the Saudi broadcast has no commercials. Hey, there you go. Hey, shout out to let's give credit where credit's due. Shout out to Iceberg there for dropping the very subtle. If you have a VPN, watch NASCAR Saudi broadcast because it has no commercials. So let's give Iceberg the credit there. For breaking that story. I only caught the last 10 laps yesterday. Crucial Magic playoff game took Providence for me. Good final few laps, though, says Say Kyle. So there you go. It was definitely a crucial Magic game for sure. Heartbreak for Carson Voppel. Yeah, for sure. He was so close. But you know what? The guy's really good. He's going to get his win possibly this year. Discord makes for fun race companions, says one wise guy. So, yeah, I'm typically on Discord for most of the race. I do pop on Twitter occasionally. Just throw something out there on Twitter. I don't know why. I just feel like I need to. I'm waiting on the IndyCar race, says Jackson Robinson. Dale Jr. was the IndyCar race is going to be fun. I hate that they're going to go head-to-head, though. Dale Jr. was heartbroken for Voppel. Yeah, for sure. But I feel like he's pretty close with the Truexes, so I feel like he's also pretty happy that Ryan Truex won as well. Best road courses are ones with elevation changes, Watkins Glen, Spa. Don't like street races, says Bruce Garvey. I feel like that's pretty much a fair statement. Laguna Seca, that's the one, man. That's the one NASCAR needs to go to. Whatever it's called now. It was Mazda Laguna Seca. I think another company has got the sponsor title, but I just call it Laguna Seca. Like people called it Mazda Raceway. It's always been Laguna Seca to me, and it's one of my favorite tracks. That's where Peace, Newgarden DQ was the first DQ from IndyCar history. Yikes! Oh, that's crazy. But I'm glad they did it, man. They did the right thing. Wise guy saying, y'all have a great race day. All right, we've reached the end of it. Let me read the poll, and then I'll close this one out. Who's your pick? DraftKings odds. Larson at 31% is second. People going with Martin Truex Jr. at 700 at 38%, 20% for Byron. Hamlin at with 600 gets 10%, and that is how the poll ended. But I never end the poll before I end the stream. So peace.